Hey guys, for today's video we are going to do a first impressions kind of style and review of the Violet Voss Sweet Treasures Fun Size Palettes. Violet Voss actually sent me all four of the eyeshadow palettes, so I'm super excited because this is my first time trying them out. Before we get into the first impressions kind of tutorial of these palettes, I just want to give you guys a brief rundown about them. So in the collection there are 4 different palettes, and each of these will retail for $18 at Sephora or on Violet Voss's website. So each palette has its own kind of color scheme to the outside of it. It has this raised text that has the name of the eyeshadow palette, and then in kind of a foil kind of font, it does say Violet Voss. And then for those curious, here is the back of this one. This is the Creme Brulee palette. So as far as the inside of the palette, each palette has 10 eyeshadows in it, and the packaging also has a mirror to it, which is a really nice mirror. It is by no means a funhouse mirror. It is actually usable, and it's really, really clear. Again, here is the Creme Brulee palette, here is the outside, here is the inside as well. So this is definitely the more neutral kind of warm tone palette. The next palette is Fruit Sorbet, which kind of has this really cool kind of sorbet kind of rainbow on the outside. And then here is the inside of the palette, so this one is definitely like a brighter kind of palette, and it also has like a white and a black kind of shimmer in here as well. Then the next palette is Berry Burst, which has this really cool kind of like raspberry look to the outside. And then here's the inside of the palette, which is kind of like a raspberry kind of theme. Kind of has like your kind of lighter pinks in here. And it also has like your chocolate browns and kind of warmer neutrals in here as well. And then the last palette that I have is the Le Macaron palette. And this one kind of has like a watercolory kind of rainbow to it, but on the deeper end of things. And then on the inside of this one is an all shimmer palette. There's no mattes in here, and this one is kind of more on the deeper side. But yeah, that is all 4 of the eyeshadow palettes that Violet Voss sent my way, and I cannot wait to show you guys how I created this look. Kind of like a warm tone smoky eye, a little bit more on the fall side of things, but honestly I always love looks like this, so I cannot wait to show you guys how I did it. So as always, first things first is I'm going to go in with my Too Faced Shadow Insurance eyeshadow primer. So the first shadow I'm going to go into is this kind of taupey kind of skin tone shade with a Carity E31 blending brush. And since this one is more of like a transitional shade, don't be afraid to bring it up a little ways towards the brow bone. And then using the same brush, I'm going to go into this bright yellow shade. I'm going to apply this right into the crease as well. Using a Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush, I'm going to go into this kind of orange shade in the palette. With this, I'm going to apply it right into the crease to create more depth. I'm just going to be honest, I don't like the orange in this palette. As you can see, it's really kind of patchy, and it doesn't want to keep consistency with the color when you apply it. It wants to go really sheer or really pigmented, and it kind of grabs funny to the skin, which I don't really like. And it's really hard to blend this one into yellow, which is kind of weird to me because normally oranges are usually pretty good, but this one just doesn't want to blend that well for me. As you can see, like even on this eye, it just doesn't want to kind of do what I want it to do. So I'm just going to show you guys how this eyeshadow kind of blends out. I'm going to apply this orange into my crease using that Real Techniques brush that we used previously. So as you can see, I get that brighter orange that I'm looking for. And then I'm going to go in with that yellow from before and go right kind of on top of it and marry them together. And as you can see, it just doesn't want to blend out. Because as you can see now, I have even like a lighter and kind of more prominent kind of, I don't know what you call it, like patchiness right here. So the next shade I'm going to go into is this kind of hot, kind of orangey red shade. Again, using that same Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush. And this one I'm going to apply right into my crease as well. See if we can kind of get rid of that orange from before. I'm also going to go into this Berry Burst palette, and I'm going to go into this kind of raspberry shade using that Real Techniques Essential Crease Brush again. And I'm going to put this into my crease, trying to deepen it up again. This raspberry is really, really nice. I actually really like this color, and it's really pigmented. Another thing with these eyeshadows is it seems like they can get easily overblended. I'm going to go in with that raspberry shade from just prior. I'm going to put it right over this weird line that I'm getting from these shadows, because obviously I want to cover it up because I'm not a really big fan of it. I'm really kind of like packing it on. And kind of doing like a windshield wiper too, just to try to blend it out. So as you can see, it's kind of covered right now. And then I'm going to go in with some yellow on a Paaaarty E30 brush. And I'm going to go right on this edge just to try to blend this out just a little bit to diffuse it, to kind of give us like a orangey kind of shade. I'm not necessarily going over that line either, but it seems like I just kind of restarted where I was with it. And I'm going to go back in with that Fruit Sorbet palette, and I'm going to go into this kind of bright purple shade right here. And I'm going to apply this into the crease as well. See if we can get rid of that line. And then off camera, I'm just going to cut my crease using my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer in the shade Fair with a flat shader brush from BH Cosmetics. And then after you cut your crease, I'm going to go in with that Real Techniques brush. And I'm just going to take whatever's left on that brush and really kind of buff that outer edge of the cut crease, just to kind of try to blend it in. We are going to apply shimmers anyways, but I just kind of like that little gradient effect we can do. Actually, I'm going to take that raspberry shade from before out of that Berry Burst palette. So I want to show you guys how these are blending for me, because at first I thought it was maybe that I didn't apply a concealer as an eyeshadow base or like a MAC paint pot, and I just used my normal Too Faced Shadow Insurance. And I know sometimes shadows require different bases, so I was like, oh, let's just do a cut crease and see how it works. I'm going to go into this purple shade out of that Fruit Sorbet palette, and I'm going to use my Sigma E55. It's kind of a, it's like a packing type of brush. And I'm going to apply this purple right on top of the concealer line and kind of bring it into this outer V. So as you can see, the shade is really pretty and it's really pigmented. And then I'm going to go in with my, let me find it. I'm going to go in with my Paaaarty brush again. And I'm going to go into that red shade out of the same palette. And I'm going to just kind of lightly go around this purple. And just kind of try to smoke out that purple to get it blended into the red. So we get that really nice gradient effect. And it always keeps on pulling up the purple. Like as you can see, it made like the purple really patchy, like right here, again, where I was having issues. I'll use my brush, maybe it's a little easier for you guys. But as you can see, like right in here, I'm having problems with the pigment picking up. And then also in this outer V, things are getting really patchy and they're just not where I would want these shadows to be. So right in here, you can kind of see it too. So next I'm going to go into this Berry Burst palette, and I'm going to use a dampened kind of flat shader brush, and I'm going to go into this kind of champagne kind of pink shade. And with this shade, I'm just going to start kind of putting this onto the lid and really cutting out that cut crease and really following that line. Ooh, I like that shade. Ooh, that one's pretty. So again, using this Berry Burst palette, I'm going to go into this really kind of deeper raspberry shimmer shade, again using a flat synthetic shader brush. And I'm going to try to put this into the center of the lid. When I apply this shadow, it like grabs onto my skin really weird. It like makes it look really crepey. I don't know if you can see it, but it like really accentuates like the texture on my eyelid. And it makes it almost look like I have like a ton of like wrinkles on it too. It like doesn't grab on well for some reason. It almost seems like it's chunky in a way. And now I'm going to go in with that kind of champagne shade. I'm going to really try to see if I can cover that texture up. I don't like how it's really grabbing onto my eyelid. I'm just kind of lightly going over it too. I didn't grab too much pigment on my brush. And then off camera, I'm just going to apply the rest of my face and some eyeliner and some lashes. So here's the finished look, and honestly, I think it is super pretty. I really love the undertones of this one. But honestly, I always love a really warm tone, kind of smoky look with just a touch of purple, because I think it makes my eyes look crazy green, which I really love. And then off camera, I did apply my inner corner, and I used this kind of like light pink champagne shade, which we used on the lid out of the Berry Burst palette. And then I also mixed that shade in with this kind of white kind of shimmer shade that has a little bit of a green undertone out of the Fruit Sorbet palette. As for my final thoughts about these palettes, you know, honestly, I think the colors in them are very pretty, and you know, they both have a really unique concept to them. I really like the colors in them. However, they are such a pain to blend out for me. You know, it would take me probably 3 times as long as my normal looks just to blend this look out, to be completely honest with you guys. It did take some finessing too with certain shades, especially like that raspberry shade out of the Berry Burst palette and that purple shade out of the Fruit Sorbet palette. However, my thoughts with the Fruit Sorbet palette, I honestly think that this palette just really isn't truly anything spectacular to me. I really love the colors in it, like looking at it, but working with them, they were very, very challenging to kind of blend everything together. Especially like this purple right here, it would keep on kind of getting really patchy when I would blend it out. However, if I packed it on with like my finger or with a brush, I didn't have as many problems. And I also had, you know, a ton of problems with this orange shade. It was pretty much the death of me with this look because it really just kept on getting really dusty, and when I would try to blend it out, it would kind of leave like speckles of orange where I didn't want it. But otherwise, I really love like this hot orange in here. This yellow is really pretty too. And I do like the purple. I just wish that it would stick to my eyelid a little bit better. So I do want to try this one with a concealer base instead of the eyeshadow primer that I used previously. As for the Berry Burst palette, I really love this champagne shade. I think it is super pretty, and I also love this berry kind of matte shade right here. However, this kind of deeper raspberry kind of shimmer shade, it really made my eyelids look super textured. So if you do have mature skin, I just kind of want to point that out. However, if you are somebody that has modern renaissance, I feel like this palette would be kind of somewhat similar in certain aspects of it, especially like these kind of more neutral shades like right up in here, and this kind of chocolate brown and this terracotta kind of pink shade. But if you are somebody with that palette, this one you may want to kind of question if you want it or not, just because the shades are super, super similar in it. So when it comes down to it, would I recommend these palettes? And honestly, I think it just kind of depends on your personal kind of style and how you work with makeup. Because like with this Fruit Sorbet palette, if you are somebody that likes more of a light wash of kind of color, you may really love this palette. However, if you are somebody like me that loves like crazy pigmentation and you want like things brighter, you may have a little bit more hard of a time kind of working with this palette and blending it out. As for the Berry Burst palette, I really like this one and I want to use it again because I really love the shades in it. And for me personally, you know, since I am allergic to modern renaissance, that this one kind of gives me an option with the same kind of colors in it. And honestly, I really love like that kind of like rosy kind of raspberry kind of look to it. I think it's really pretty. However, I do want to say though that each palette is $18 too, so you know, they're not like crazy expensive, especially for like at Sephora type of thing. So, you know what, if you are looking to try them, you could always wait till like the Sephora VIB sale. Let me know in the comments down below which palette is your favorite and if you are going to pick them up. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on them. I'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below, and if you would like to follow me on Instagram, my Instagram account is @lethal_kitten. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and until next time, bye!